Welcome everyone to today's webinar, The Future of EAM, How Process Automation is Transforming Asset-Intensive Industries. I'm Erica, Marketing Lead at S4A IT Solutions, and we're excited to have you here for what promises to be an insightful discussion. As asset-intensive industries continue to evolve, the need for smarter, more efficient processes has never been greater. Today we'll explore how process automation is transforming EAM and highlight the role of the Fusion platform in driving this transformation. We're quite fortunate to have two outstanding industry leaders joining us today to share their expertise, Choi and Farley Niehues. Choi, Vice President of Sales and Marketing and co-founder at S4A, brings over 20 years of consulting experience across North America and the Asia-Pacific region. His career spans roles in techno-functional consulting, project and program delivery, sales, marketing, and IT leadership. With a deep understanding of enterprise mobility and digital transformations, Ken continues to drive innovation in EAM solutions, helping businesses streamline operations and maximize efficiency. Joining him is Farley, Chief Operating Officer at Neomind. Farley has more than 25 years of experience in process and document automation, working with companies of all sizes. As a BPM and ECM tool manufacturer for nearly 20 years in Brazil, he has collaborated with organizations worldwide. His expertise spans both technical and strategic aspects of process automation, making him a key voice in system integration and business transformation. Ken and Farley, it's great to have you both here. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Erica.
Thank you
for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah.
Well,
let's go.
Once again, everybody, thank you for joining us today, and we certainly appreciate the time and hope that you will have some great takeaways from this session today as Farley and myself walk through some of the fantastic innovative features and possibilities that are available through the Fusion platform. So having said that, we're just going to do some stage setting a little bit of who we are and what we do. So as Erica had earlier alluded to, we are a SAP consulting firm focused on the EAM Enterprise Asset Management core competency, and we are based in North America, specifically in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So in the deep freeze in the far north here for most of our North American attendees today. And we're augmented by 450 plus nearshore SAP professionals. So that enables us to scale in different size of delivery projects, from your small enhancement projects all the way up through to full transformational projects. Having that scalability is one of our differentiators here, and operating in a nearshore format enables us to align directly with our North American needs from a time zone perspective. So as we progress here, we focused on asset management solutions. With that said, our focus is the full end-to-end asset management process, from identifying the work all the way through to completion, and all of those steps in between. So as you can see from this diagram, I'm not going to read off every single component here, but if you're very familiar with the EAM end-to-end process, all of these facets address those procedural steps, from the mobility component and aspect to personnel time capture, materials consumption and tracking, and at the end of the day, KPIs and process monitoring, right, for your reliability engineers is what they're interested in, that particular facet. And then you'll see here we have the Fusion platform, which is our focus of topic today. And you'll see here as a descriptor, all-in-one platform. What does that really mean? So the underlying foundation of all of these EAM procedural steps, as you maintain and execute maintenance through your assets and in enhancing your assets longevity and life cycle from cradle to grave, the Fusion platform is there as a BPM, business process management platform, and an ECM. So naturally tied to all these assets is documentation, whether it's supplier provide documentation, whether it's SOPs, right, operating procedures, breakdown structures, inspection data, right? How do we ensure that your maintenance and inspections are compliant with your regulatory needs when it comes to compliance and risk management? So all of those documents can be stored within your Fusion platform. And for that reason, We see this solution as a highly, highly powerful solution to help supplement and provide the risk management component and all the associated documents with each one of these solutions you see here. And for that reason, we've strategically aligned and represent the Fusion platform in the North American market. So moving along here, what is the future of asset management, the challenges and trends we see here? So naturally, as equipment assets age, the infrastructure ages, there's a lot more risk management involved, whether it's from a cost perspective of maintaining your equipment, or whether it's operating hours and labor hours associated with maintaining that equipment. So many facets here. We all have challenges with workforce shortages and finding skilled workers. So how do you ensure that you're not building a culture of tribal knowledge within your maintenance organization? You want to ensure that information is readily available for all of those involved in the maintenance process. So what's standing in the way, right? We know today there's inefficient processes, right? Organizations, regardless of solutions, they love spreadsheets. They love doing things outside of the system. That creates, as we all know, a huge challenge, right? Data. How do you maintain that data? How do you know you're working off the latest version of a spreadsheet or a procedure? Right? Paper-based, siloed processes doesn't help anyone at all, right? The broader team. How do you plan for unplanned downtime? Well, you can't, right? It's unplanned downtime. So reactive maintenance becomes a costly disruption, right? Without that predictability. Data overload. Too much data, not enough actionable insights. How many of you feel that way? We have the data, we're capturing the data inputs, but what do we do with this data? How do we operate in a better fashion, knowing what we know and we have the data? Well, data on its own doesn't provide any value to the organization, right? Inflexible systems, right? We know we carry technical debt, we carry legacy systems. How do we ensure and go beyond the current framework and break the status quo of how we operate from a technology standpoint? So all of these challenges or hurdles are barriers to kind of moving forward, right? So here to talk a little bit more about how do you break through those barriers, and how do you make that paradigm shift of challenging the status quo to truly operationalize and drive actionable insights with your existing data. So through process management, right? At the end of the day, how do you automate and take away and alleviate all these risk factors that are associated with manual processes? We can do it through automation, right? The huge trend and uptick of electronic forms, right? Moving away from the paper-based approaches of the past, helping drive transparency and traceability. At the end of the day, the biggest component as well is error reduction. We're humans. We can't operate at 100% data quality, data entry levels, right? We're not robots. That's a whole nother topic, RPA, right? But error reduction is a key component.
Hyper automation, Ken. It's
yes, great
subject. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And another topic for another series, I think.
Yeah, for sure. for sure.
Mobility. We all want to work anywhere, anytime. We don't want to be tied to our desktops all day just to execute a simple review and approval process, right? We want to be able to consume, access, review the data, review the process step when we're ready to review it, when we have the time. So all of these things are, as you'll see here, are benefits to process management and lead into what we'll be showing today to help drive and optimize your maintenance process. So data, I touched upon data. We hear a lot about data. We hear a lot about, we have a lot of structured data. We have a lot of unstructured data, as you'll see here in the diagram in the pie chart in the top right corner, right? So we have systems to support structured data. But what about the unstructured data? How do we drive insights from that piece? of the pie, and we know it's very, very challenging, right? Today, whether it's captured or not captured, or in most situations, it's siloed, right? We all have colleagues who have saved data, spreadsheets, Words documents, just meeting notes on their local laptop or desktop and haven't shared it
Very
on the
common.
network drive, right? Very common. I mean, I, for one, do it myself. So,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect either, but
And
common
and
pain
this
points.
and this is not under the management of the company, so it's really a painful point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a common pain point, right? Data is key, right? We know that, we have some hot trending topics out there in the market when it comes to technology enablers, AI, right? If you haven't heard of AI to this point, really, you should be looking into AI. But at the end of the day, AI is predicated on structured and unstructured data, right? It's all data, garbage in, garbage
Reliable
out,
ones. Reliable
right?
ones. Yeah.
Reliable, structured, and unstructured data. So it's trusted,
Yeah.
which kind of leads into a recent Gartner report. Gartner CIO report had two leading questions that CIOs are asking today. Number one was, how do I build a scalable, integrated, data-driven foundation to support high impact decisions? So tied into what we're leading up to in the previous slides, right? That data foundation, right? How do we build that? How do we create a standardized framework? And then question number two in the CIO report is, how do I scale AI projects from that early inception, early exploration phase all the way through to delivering measurable value, right? So some two key leading questions that were highlighted in the Gartner CIO report. And this is all very much predicated on trusted, structured, and unstructured data, right? Data feeds and enables those, and is the answer to those two questions that are top of mind for CIOs. So how do you identify inefficiencies in asset management in your industry, right? Process timelines. So we know that there's existing databases or data sources, right? Could be more than one data source, right? Could be your SAP environment, could be your SCADA system, could be, XYZ, others, even a spreadsheet, right? Manual input. If there's manual input, then there's an opportunity there for optimization and to drive further efficiency. Transaction based. Okay, so we're talking transactional data here, essentially, not master data. Master data is quite static, right? Transactional data is the dynamic, structured, unstructured, is what can really drive insights. And then the asset database system. So whether you're using SAP as your CMMS or other systems, right? There's that standardized framework there. And what does this cause? Unstructured information, right? Because there's multiple multiple data entry, input, capturing processes, and then we see it all the time. No process and document management standardization, no traceability, right? At the end of the day, you could be capturing the data, but who often runs into the problem of, I know we capture this, but I can't find it, right? That's also a challenge. It's one thing to capture the data, but then how do you find it after the fact? So we're going to talk a little bit here, process timeline and the automation and what can be possible, right? So you have your existing SAP data source, right? Your master data, and then enabling RPAs and APIs to access those, through process orchestration, through AI assistance, right? Agentry, through business management mobility. So having a different form factor to access that data, whether it's on iOS, Android, or Windows. And then having that data flow and input it into your CMMS asset database system, right? And optimizing that. So what are the benefits here, right? The power is in the business hands, right? You're capturing the data as a user. that's going directly. It's not going through some other channel being reviewed and transcribed, right? We see in oftentimes in processes, manual processes, right? Transcribing from paper and pen to the SAP system, and it still exists, right? Some of you may be chuckling a little bit because you've seen it and it still occurs within your process, but that doesn't help, right? Obviously, that's a key opportunity to optimize and drive efficiency, right? Traceability, evidence tracking, right? So auditability, right? Being able to look at the log, see when this data was entered, see when it was potentially modified, right, and adjusted, and having a full traceability is key. So how do we enable that? And the Fusion platform is essentially the answer, right? Integrated management to transfer how your team works, and then obviously driving optimization there for feedback. Process, AI, documents, I mean, these are just some of the capabilities within the Fusion platform that you see here. As a central core framework, similar to your SAP system, your system of record, Fusion platform here is essentially positioned in your landscape as your system of record for data, for structured, unstructured data. And the competitive landscape. So essentially, this is to provide you more of a summary for clarity around the Fusion platform and what are some of the benefits and how it's positioned in the marketplace. So it is an all-in-one platform. So if you were to describe at a high level what the Fusion platform is, it's a enterprise content management platform with a inbuilt business process management capabilities as well. It's driving a lower TCO, streamlined integration, so full integration capabilities with various fragmented systems, if that's your environment today, ensuring that it has data security and privacy, right? Always the utmost importance. So adhering to data security and privacy requirements, a very user-friendly experience. So UX is at top of mind when the Fusion platform was designed and developed. And then accelerators and enablement, process templates to help accelerate that process of building out the process overview and the process mapping, right? So potentially, not all organizations, but potentially the opportunity to embrace and deploy the citizen developer approach, right? Having your key champions and key users being able to create these process mapping overviews and processes using these templates, help accelerate that process. Cloud enablement, low code, so ties once again into that user community. How do we leverage this, open it up to a broader user group beyond just the likes of IS and IT potentially, right? Truly putting the power and empowering the business users and process owners. And then naturally privacy compliance, right? So robust security measures there to ensure that it's compliant from a data privacy perspective, right? Top of mind of all cybersecurity questions and assessments. So today we're going to just before I hand it over to Farley to walk through our demo, just to set the stage. We're going to see the business process management side of things. At the end of the day, enterprise content management is a document store. There's not too many exciting things to show there. It's a document store, as you can appreciate. But the business process modeler is really the key capability of Fusion. So Farley will walk through the process modeler. So we talked about, that templated approach. There's templates available. There's status indications there that you can enable. The whole review and approver process, right? Every single process we know within a best practices organization running their processes all have those stage gates, right? Review and approve, and then execution, including image capture. So, right, as far as the use case in this instance, Farley will be working through a asset inspection. So naturally, there's image capture potential that you'd like to do. You're working on a pump. And obviously you want to capture some images there to help support the data that you're capturing at the end of the day, right? And then historical traceability. So those are the 5 elements that Farley will walk through today. And with that said, I will hand it over to Farley. Take it away, Farley.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, great words. And we are going to show some additional capabilities to the document management capabilities, the electronic signing capabilities, the mobility that you had told, but we are going to prove the inspection by Fusion Mobile. And also we're going to do a part of the inspection process by mobile, and also we're going to use the desktop interface to finish the inspection process. So we can show also functionalities like AI assistants working together with the inspector and help the operation process and gaining productivity. Well,
sounds great.
Let's share our screen here. Don't know if you already can see the screen.
Looks good.
Looks
like you're ready to go.
Okay, great. Well, all this presentation we formatted based on the standard functionalities. There isn't here during the development process of this automation any code was written, any code. It was totally based on a standard functionalities. Everything that you're gonna see here, it's based just on configuration, just on modeling. It is important to tell. This process here is a simple one. We create the inspection. After that, we're going to see an approver approving the inspection. This approval we're going to do by mobile, and I show this here in practice. So I just ask here, sorry if something goes a little slow because I'm running here a real deploy of our platform. After that, we're going to execute the inspection. After the execution, we're going to approve this inspection that was done and also sign a document that brings formalization to the process. And after that, that document that brings the inspection records are going to be stored on our document management system. Then it's okay.
And I think just to set the stage, this is this is simplified process, but the main takeaway is to show the various features and functions and capabilities, right, in this very simplified use case inspection.
Yeah, and also it's important to tell that we have here in our store in document management module, we published here a technical documentation related to an equipment, the TEC20 equipment, that automatically during the process running, the user will have all this documentation available to consult, to query, to have as assistant to help him during the inspection process. You're going to see during the execution. You can have here all the database of your documents organized here in the document management module. Okay. Well, I'm going to log with another user to create the inspection. So let's move on. I go here in the task center.
While this is loading for Farley, feel free to ask and post any questions in the chat as we progress here, and we'll address them at towards the end of our session here.
Yeah. Let's start the inspection process. And here, according to the graphics that you had showed previously, we are fully integrated with an asset management database. In this case, we are integrated with an asset database that is on SAP. Here we are bringing again, without any code. Any code was written to bring this integration here to the platform. So in this case, we are going to select the inspection record that comes from this asset database. And here we are going to select an inspection related to the TEC20 equipment that we already have previously published documentation in our document management system. When we select the inspection record, automatically he recognizes here the work order that is related to that inspection, the equipment that is related to that inspection, and also the flock record that is related to that inspection. Everything is automatically fulfilled here in the screen of our process. I don't know if it was possible to see, if you can Everything okay?
Yep, that sounds
great.
great. Yep, all the
Great.
key components of a asset inspection process.
Oh, great. And here, related to the documents that we told it would be available, and it is published on our document management module, it's here all these documents. And for example, if I want to see the manual of that equipment that is published on document management system, it comes here, and I also already can, at this moment, to see these docs. And let's already do this example, but I already create here a prompt, and we can chat with this document, with this technical document, to get some insights related to this equipment. For example, I asked now to the chatbot, what are the common problems that this equipment can bring to us? And the chat already recognized reading all the content of the document and brought here to us, related here 5 common problems that can happen to this document. I don't know if it was possible to see, Ken.
The AI agent is essentially searching your document store from the equipment suppliers to identify, based on your question, what are the common known issues or problems with this piece of equipment.
Yeah, and just remember, here we created the inspection. The inspection was related to an equipment. This equipment had some documents published on our document management system, and related to this publishing, we brought this automatically to the inspection process, so the user can chat with all these documents that are, again, on the stored on our document management system. So it's everything integrated. Here, in these first steps, you already can see BPM modeling capabilities, document management capabilities, and AI capabilities in a simple two or three interface.
So I could be a third-party vendor, maintenance service contractor, unfamiliar with the equipment in your plant or at this functional location, leverage the Fusion AI assistant here to ask certain questions. It could be as simple as, hey, what is the part number for XYZ? And that will save hours, literally, of searching through the documentation to find a specific part number related to this equipment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, so here you can do any question that you want. Another thing that's important, it's normal in the market. Some of these documents related to these equipments, they come in other language, other idioms. So how the technical guys, how the people that are going to operate the inspection process to read these documents. So what's possible to do here? In this case, the TQ20 equipment has 4 files published on our document management system. And one of those is in Portuguese. It's a Brazilian supplier, for example. So the manual is in Portuguese. How an English guy can read, can consume this content? And in this case, we have also here a functionality that we can translate this documentation to any language, and in our case here, English. So a document that here is in Portuguese, if you can see here, it's in Portuguese. That's gonna see now this doc in English. And now I can chat also with those documents totally in English, in your natural language.
The document source could be in a language other than English, but then the AI agent has the capability to translate that to any other language as you desire.
Yeah, that's it.
Real time.
That's it, real time. And the inspector in English use his natural idiom to talk to all this documentation, independent of the original language of the document. The document can be in German, can be in Chinese, Japanese, whatever. So
interesting.
Here we have the document, the full document in English, fully translated.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And we can chat also with that document. Well, let's move on just to. I closed the screens here. Let's come back to Task Center. Yeah, it's here the inspection that they're creating. Well, let's send it. Well, so now we send the inspection process to approval. related to our modeling. So at this moment, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna share my mobile screen. I'm here already on our mobile screen. In this case, the approval was sent through what we call a pull. A pull, it's an approval, an assignment that's related to more than one user. And in this case, he comes here to this pull box. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna assume this task that it's two people at this moment. And so I will do the approval process directly here on my screen, on my mobile. Okay. I don't know if it was possible for you to see. I was in the pull box. When I assumed it came here to my inbox. I can also approve here directly on my inbox, doing a swipe. Swipe right, you approve. Swipe left, you disapprove that inspection. Here we have some direct information, the work number information, the equipment description, the flock description, if I don't want to open the full instance. And here I can open the full instance to see all the data that we were seeing on our desktop version. Here also I can see by mobile all the documentation that we had there in the desktop version. Here all the historic and so on. What we're gonna do now is to approve. I'll come back here to my inbox and I will make a swipe and approve. Okay.
Simple, easy. And all the
Easy.
and all the information is there, whether you want to work from a summarized header version like you see here, or you can also drill down and look at the details.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Full access. Great.
And we approved here the inspection, and the inspection is also assigned to the user that I'm logged here with my mobile. So what I will do here, I have again the base inspections. I have here available all the equipments too. And I have here the question that we are gonna need to answer to fulfill this inspection. So let's create some examples here. I wanted to send an image evidence. In this case, as I am with a mobile, I can take a picture. I will take a picture here for you. I'll take a picture of our webinar here. That's just to give example. I took a picture, an online one here. It's publishing directly on my mobile. Just put okay here. Any comment? Okay, one question is answered. Another one, let's create here. And here we support several data types of questioning. Here we have data questions, log questions, numerical questions, file questions, and all the data types are supported by the platform. For example, any visual damage, in this case, is just a log value. You just select log yes or no. Another example, describe your comments. In this case, he demands here a text value. Inspection. And so on. Let's do the thing here. I'm gonna save what I did here in my mobile phone. And I stop sharing my phone here. Let's come back to the desktop version. So now in this case, we're gonna finish the inspection by desktop. And in this case, let's take a look at some additional points here. For example, the flow. You remember that modeling that we showed in the beginning of our demonstration? Here we have the pathway of the process that we already executed. And here, the step of the process that we're stopped at this moment. So in the execute inspection. Can you see? The activities in blue are the activities that we already finished. Here in orange, we have the actual task that it's open. We have this all the full historic here. Again, the same as in the beginning. The inspector also can have all the documentation and to chat with that documentation based on AI, translate whatever is necessary and so on. And the questions are here. Everything that I did by mobile, it's already available here on my screen with the image that I did, the picture that I took on my mobile phone is already here, and I can show you. It's a picture from my desktop. Yeah, it's here. Me and Ken. Okay. Well, let's just create one question more here. What's the evidence date, for example? Let's create that today. It's okay. And let's finish the inspection. Ken, any comments? Any additional?
No, I think this is highly powerful. As you can see here, right, depending on the questions, alphanumeric, right, for the description-based answers are possible, numerical answers are possible. So whether you're inspecting, let's say, output pressure on a pump, right, you can have a numeric answer there. If you're doing for example, corrosion inspection, you can have some a descriptor in terms of the comments there, and evidence being able to be captured through images. So yeah, very comprehensive. I guess the key question here is this is all accessible, so you can always export it into a report if you need to report to some regulatory body for compliance. That's all available there as well. So yeah, very powerful in this particular use case, right? And the use cases go beyond just EAM, right? And I think you have some customers that you've worked with, Farley, with this platform in other areas such as HR and manufacturing environments as well. So, the flexibility is quite broad.
Yeah, it's important to emphasize that it's a totally horizontal platform. So you can model and automate any kind of process. Here we are talking about inspection process, but we can work with since human resources process until financial process, marketing one, compliance one, and whatever you have. Those problems that you brought brilliantly in your presentation related to benefits, to documents in unstructured places on the organization, paperwork. It's still common. I don't know if in the United States and in Brazil too, paperwork is present on our day-by-day basis. So it can be also solved using a platform like that. Signature that we're going to see now. For example, all this process here, if all of this and other kinds of process, any kind of process, if you need to sign, for example, a document, in this case, we brought here an example of that. So let's see here. Let's see the flow. We create the inspection, we approve, and now we are in approve and sign inspection completion. How we are going to do that? We created here a document that also will be stored in our document management systems for traceability purposes, that he creates this document here, what he brought here. Just an example, you can create your own model of this document. You can create with all the visual appeal of your company, with some footers, some header, whatever you want here. So here's the document that he brought. It's a simple one, but we can also create here additional information. This final document, the inspection process generated. And when we saved here the document is already saved on the platform automatically. You don't have to download, create the content locally, and also upload again the document. And after that, we're going to sign this file. Okay, it's correctly signed. So here we had a 2FA effect, a two-phase authentication to finish the signature process. So here in our process, we have a signed file that has really for traceability and compliance purpose a really strong power. And we're going to finish the inspection. Document approval. Let's go and approve here. And send. So in this case, we finished the inspection process. it's fully completed. And what's going to happen here? If you want to query, for example, this process, let's see fast example here. It's going to make a query. The process that we finish is here. Let's open it. And here is all the historic, all the traceability, all the records of everything that happened during that process. Okay. Again, all the data, all the questions that were answered, all the data, the equipment, all the approvals, the document that we signed here. If we open the PDF here of the signed document, the document signing, it creates a hash on the document and also a signature protocol that can be sent and can be validated at any moment that this document is really real. It's really valid. Or he creates all the signatures, all the people that signed the document with all the traceability info. And just to show our users here, some indicators, some analysis that what's the top applicants, the number of requests by situation, completed and open, some infos here related to time to complete the requests, to the number of requests of canceled and this kind of stuff. The top lanes, the highest volume, the top activities in progress related to those inspections that are open, the activities that are undertaken in the pool. In this case, we don't have any instance. Well, some analysis that also we can use to manage the process, the inspection process, and any process during the day-by-day basis using the platform, automating our processing.
Thank you, Farley. So just to kind of recap what we showed here, right? Process modeler, status indicator. So you saw the change in the color as the step was executed. Reviewer, approver step process that Farley went through. Image capture we saw. I wish you had prepared me. I could have at least smiled for that image capture, Farley. I look grumpy in that picture. But historical traceability as well, right? So the full capture of data and being able to trace that. So moving on and moving forward here, essentially, we're going to open it up to Q&A. And just to kind of warm everybody up, I guess I have one question here, Farley, to kind of maybe start some thoughtful questions from our audience. Is typically when you deploy the Fusion platform, where does it get deployed to? Is it on a standalone server in your environment? Or are there other scenarios that you've deployed this?
Yeah, we can deploy in several scenarios. You have customers that they demanded to deploy internally in their own infrastructure, so as it can be used in a standalone installation. But also we can work on a cloud-based deployment, no problem. Amazon, Azure, and now the common cloud suppliers in the market you can support, and you can deploy the platform too, no problem.
Fantastic. Okay, I think for today that's a wrap, and hopefully if we didn't get to your question and answer, certainly we'll follow up and everyone received a copy of the slide deck today and presentation. And thank you for joining us and thank you for your time. Anything to add, Farley, before we close things up here and hand it back to Erica?
No, just that to thank you for your time. Thank you for the Erica's time. Thank you for the audience too. And we are available to detail everything that we told here in a really high level way, in a more deeper way. We didn't show here, for example, how we configured everything that you saw here. But again, everything that you saw here was done based on a no-code approach, so there wasn't here any kind of development or code generation or whatever. So everything that you saw again was done based just on the knowledge of the platform and a little time. Just that. Thank you. We are here to help.
That's a great point. Thank you, Farley. Back to you, Erica.
Great, thank you. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be in touch. We'll be sending out the slides as Ken had said, and we'd love to hear about how we might be able to help support your business challenges with this wonderful tool. So thanks again, and you'll be hearing from us. Take care, everyone.
And cut.
Stop recording, Eric.
And cut. It's still recording. Okay. Hello. Hopefully that was a great session, Farley, in showcasing that demo and walking through, again, very simplified process, but the power of it really is to show the capability. Naturally, everybody's use case will be unique and different, and the level of complexity too, right, will be quite complex, right?
For sure, Ken, for sure. Well, we have two questions here in the chat. Don't know if it was possible for you to see, Ken. We're gonna read how AI and machine learning can be applied in assets management. I don't know if you have any approach related to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you showed a great example. One is being able to mine directly into stored documents. So perhaps you have supplier or vendor provided documentation and common troubleshooting information that's stored within these documents provided by the supplier. The ability to leverage and do real-time translation, right? Be able to use the agent to, as a new technician, I may not be familiar with certain equipment, assets, etc., but being able to use the AI agent to mine the information available and the associated documentation is one thing, is one aspect, but then the power is to be able to also translate it. So more often than not, we know that a lot of equipment is manufactured offshore, and there are usually multiple languages are provided within a document. However, if there isn't one, or that's a constraint, then certainly real-time searchability within a document is huge, right? Just that alone. I mean, we're flooded with so much information. As a technician is encountering and executing their work, there is so much information available to them. The biggest challenge is, how do I source it? How do I extract the information that I need that's relevant to me? And then on top of that, how do I consume it in a presentable format? And I think that AI agent puts the power into the technician's hands to be able to extract that information in a way that they're comfortable to consume. So I think that's one example. Beyond that, there's other elements in other use cases. So one of the, just to extend on the question from Jean, is, we've seen up in the upstream process in planning and scheduling, as far as a planning process is concerned, there's AI capabilities available with all sorts of solutions out there in the market around optimizing a plan. How do I simulate a what if scenario when it comes to planning? This is prior to distribution of work, right? So at the planning and scheduling phase, based on my available capacity of resources and capabilities and skill sets, how do I optimize my plan? Checking in on resource availability, checking on any tool availability. Maybe there's some specialized tools required to execute the operation. What's that availability and capacity look like? How about qualifications? Right? Perhaps a technician requires, Red Seal XYZ certification in order to execute the work. So there's so many facets and criteria that is inputted into these, operations and work orders that, based on historical data captured again, data is the foundation, that there's opportunities to leverage AI.
Yeah, for sure. And delivered all this data, all these documents that are available around all the suppliers and all the machines and all the equipment that we have available in our company is really a challenge. And in this case, we put that in context because we brought here all the equipment that we had available related to that inspection, and already brought that. So we resumed the work of the inspector, already bringing the info exactly at the moment that he needed to do the job. So that brings really a great productivity and improve a lot in the process of making the things happen. And I think this brings also answers the second question that we have here in the chat, that what are the measurable benefits. That's an example of the measurable benefits. We deliver everything that the user, that the operator in this case needs to do the job. So this avoids that time in searching all the data, all the documents, all the things that the guy needs to do the job, to get the job done. So one of the measurable benefits is it's that we deliver exactly what the user, in this case what the operator needs to do his inspection, but not limited to. If when we look in a more wide approach, we can also apply this kind of concept in supply process, in customer process, in delivery process, in transportation processes, and bringing all this together, bring really measurable benefits, delivering to the people, delivering to the guys, delivering to our workers, to the people from the company, exactly what they need to do what they need at that point of in time. So it's fantastic. I don't know if you agree, Ken.
100%. I mean, there's, just to kind of summarize, improved asset uptime and reliability, right? Certainly is a measurable benefit. What does that look like in terms of flavor? Well, reduction in unplanned downtime, increase in mean time between failures could be the flavor of what that looks like. Enhanced maintenance efficiencies, as we're constantly talking about optimization. So faster work order completion, improved technician productivity, higher planned versus unplanned maintenance ratios that you're trying to achieve. Reduced operational cost, right? Because you're driving more efficiencies from your team and your technicians, you lower the maintenance and repair costs, but also the reduced overtime labor hours. So reducing your labor hours, having better inventory cost reduction. Another facet in terms of benefit around EAM is definitely increased compliance and safety, right? Safety is always a number one thing when it comes to technicians out in the field, right? We hear it. There's a lot of focus on safety. Reducing the number of safety incidents, right? Number of safety incidents or near misses. So you can certainly see a reduction in I guess you could say dangerous events like that linked to equipment failure. So yeah, some key elements there, and a bit of a insight as to what does operational efficiency really means, right? There's all these more detailed multiple layers that unfortunately we don't have the time to dig deeper into, but that's just to give you an insight as to how deep we can go and help with this, both from a people, process, and as we highlighted today, technology.
Yeah. And if this comes together with a continuous improvement mind, where we have the process in the center of our mind, in the center of our process analysis and the continuous improvement in our company, so we can talk really here about the EAM, but again, bring several other aspects of our organization, several other areas, and bring together with this process automation, process improvement, and continuous improvement mind together to take your company in other levels of compliance, other levels of management, other levels of automation and efficiency. I don't know, Ken, if you have any additional questions, or you can.
Not so much questions. I think it's I'm gonna open up the Pandora's box here a little bit, and we'll say, if you can dream it, we'll try to make it reality, right? I think that's the key here, using the technologies and the power of the fusion solution. It's definitely, I think it holds true to our initial theme of, breaking the status quo. How do we overcome all these challenges today? How do we, go beyond the barrier and have a paradigm shift in approaches on how we do our work when it comes to maintenance? So I think a great session. And hopefully our audience here took away some great valuable takeaways. And thank you for joining us. I don't have any other further questions. Do we have any more further questions in our log here? I don't believe we do.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, I think that's a wrap.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Farley, and thank you everybody for joining us. I hope we can